The day I got engaged was the happiest day of my life. And the most humiliating. But I wouldn't find that part out until 2 days later. I was still glowing, still floating, still posting photos with shaky hands and captions like, "Forever starts now," when a stranger messaged me on Instagram. No greeting. No explanation. Just 3 pictures. A hospital bracelet. An ultrasound. And a selfie of her with a very obvious baby bump. And then one sentence that changed everything. "He's the father." First I laughed. Actually laughed. Thought it was some sick prank. Maybe an internet troll or some bitter ex trying to stir drama. But something about the tone, so calm, so confident, made my stomach twist. So I clicked on her profile. And my whole body went cold. Because there, in the middle of her photos, was a picture of Elijah. Smiling. Holding her hand across a dinner table. Same eyes. Same beard. Same smile he gave me. Caption. 7 months strong. Can't wait to meet our little miracle. My heart fell into my stomach. And the ground beneath me? Gone. Let me take you back. My name is Tony. I'm 31. And until 2 days ago I thought I was about to marry the love of my life. I met Elijah at a friend's birthday dinner. He wasn't even supposed to be there, just tagged along with one of the guys. But the moment he saw me he made his way over. Said something corny about my smile. I rolled my eyes. He asked for my number. I gave it. I wasn't in a good place then. I'd just gotten out of a 2-year relationship with a man who cheated, gaslit, and made me feel like I was the problem every time I cried. I told myself I wasn't ready to date. That I needed time. Space. But Elijah? He made it so easy to forget why I was scared. He was gentle. Patient. Asked questions. Sent good morning texts. Listen. He never rushed me. Never pressured. Just showed up, again and again. We dated for 1.5 years. And in that time he met my parents, my closest friends, my coworkers. Everyone loved him. My mother even said, "He's the kind of man you build with." I believed her. We never fought. We planned vacations. We talked about kids. One day, he told me about his ex, Maya. Said it ended badly, that she was toxic and that he hadn't seen her since they broke up last year. That she blocked him on everything. That there was nothing there anymore. I didn't question it. Because why would I? He proposed at a rooftop restaurant in front of everyone. Candles. Violinist. A speech about how I healed him, how he never believed in soulmates until me. I cried. Said yes. Everyone clapped. I didn't know I was applauding the start of my own public humiliation. Because while I was saying yes to forever, Maya was counting down the weeks to deliver his child. And the worst part? She didn't even seem angry. Or bitter. Or dramatic. She was calm. Cool. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. She messaged me again after I didn't reply. "I thought you deserved to know before the baby arrives. You seem like a good woman. You didn't deserve this." My hands shook so hard I dropped my phone. The floor was spinning. I called Elijah immediately. He picked up on the second ring. "Tony. Hey baby, what's wrong?" I didn't speak at first. Just breathed. Then I asked one question. "Who is Maya?" Silence. Then a stumble. "What do you mean?" She messaged me. Sent me a picture. She's 7 months pregnant. I heard the air leave his lungs. "Listen, it's not..." "Tony, I can explain. It's not what you think." That line. That same line. The anthem of every liar caught too late. "Explain it then," I said, my voice ice cold. He started rambling. Something about a one-time mistake. How they'd seen each other months ago for closure. How she said she was on birth control. How he didn't even know she was pregnant until recently. She swore she wouldn't keep it. He yelled like that made any of this better. She swore. I repeated. Like a baby is a returned Amazon package. He tried to talk over me. Apologized. Said he loved me. Said he still wanted to marry me. I hung up. Then I screamed. I screamed so loud I thought the neighbors would call the police. I fell to the floor, still in the dress I wore the night he proposed, the ring box still sitting on my dresser. I curled into a ball and sobbed until my chest hurt. Because this wasn't just betrayal. This was deception at the highest level. This was me planning a future with a man who was planning to be a father behind my back. I gave him my love, my trust, my body, my dreams. And he gave me lies. No. Now I was the woman with a ring, and a choice. Because Maya might be carrying his child. But I was about to carry his consequences. And I was going to make sure he felt every one. I didn't eat for 2 days. Not because I was trying to make a statement or wallow in misery. I simply couldn't. Food had no taste. Sleep never came. My body was moving, breathing, but my soul? It was trapped somewhere between heartbreak and rage. The ring still sat on my dresser, sparkling like it wasn't soaked in lies. I wanted to throw it, break it, melt it down and pour it over his cheating little ego. But I didn't. Because I knew. He was going to feel this in a way he didn't expect. When someone breaks your heart, the world tells you to cry, scream, block them and move on. But I didn't want to move on. Not yet. I wanted to understand how I had let a man get so close, so deep into my life, that I didn't see what he was hiding. I replayed every date, every night we stayed up talking, every kiss, every I love you, looking for signs. Red flags. Clues. And that's when it hit me. There were signs. Subtle. Slippery. But there. The week before he proposed, Elijah was distracted. Distant. Kept checking his phone and saying, just work stuff. I remember catching him smiling at a text and asking, what's that? And he said, just a meme. Liar. He was probably messaging Maya. Probably sending her updates while he was ring shopping for me. The sickness rose in my throat like fire. That same day I received another message. This time from him. Paragraphs. Long, breathless apologies. He said he was sorry. Said he never stopped loving me. Said the pregnancy was a mistake that got out of hand, but I was his real life. He begged to meet in person. I almost ignored it. Almost. But a part of me, the part that still wanted answers, said yes. Not for closure. Not to get him back. I wanted to look him in the eye and see if he could lie to me again, knowing that I knew. We met at a park. Somewhere public. I wore sunglasses not to hide but to protect myself from crying. I was done crying. He came in looking tired, pale, stressed. Not the man who had once spun me into a fantasy of candlelit proposals and whispered promises. He sat down beside me. Tony, he said softly. You look. I raised a hand. Don't flatter me. Just talk. He took a deep breath. It happened once, he said. I swear. After we had that argument back in March. I was feeling low and Maya reached out. She said she wanted to talk to clear the air. I went to see her and one thing led to another. Spare me, I interrupted. You don't just trip and fall into someone else's bed, Elijah. He looked away. Him maybe. Or performance. She told me she was pregnant a few weeks later, he continued. But I didn't believe her. Then she sent the test results. Ultrasound. Everything. But by that time I had already planned the proposal. I didn't want to ruin things between us. I stared at him. You didn't want to ruin things, I repeated. He nodded. Elijah, you didn't ruin things. You obliterated them. He reached for my hand. I pulled away like his touch was fire. You think because you proposed I'm going to stay? That I'll smile and plan a wedding while she gives birth to your baby? Are you insane? I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. But you did. Over and over. And the worst part is, you knew what you were doing and still got down on one knee. He shook his head. I love you. No, you don't, I snapped. You love how I made you feel. You love the image of me. You love the stability. But love without truth is manipulation. You don't love me, Elijah. You used me to escape your own mess. He went quiet. And in that silence, I knew he had nothing left to say. So I stood up. And I walked away. No screaming. No tears. Just steel in my spine. But this wasn't the end. Because I still had something he never expected. A platform. I had built a small following over the past year, sharing pieces of my life, my thoughts, my growth. I'd never posted anything personal about him before. I believed in keeping some things sacred. But now. He had made my relationship public with his proposal. So I made his betrayal just as public. I recorded a video. No names. No drama. Just me raw, honest, tearless. I told the story of the man who proposed while hiding a 7-month pregnancy with his ex. I ended it with one line. If a man can lie with a ring in his hand, imagine what else he's capable of. It went viral in hours. Women flooded the comments. This happened to me. Thank you for speaking up. Saved me from texting my ex. It wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. And that truth became my weapon. 2 days later, Maya messaged me again. He told me you knew. I want you to know. I didn't know he proposed to you. He said you guys were done. I stared at her words for a long time. I didn't trust her. But I didn't need to. Because I wasn't angry at her anymore. I was too busy cutting him out of my life piece by piece. I blocked his number. Returned the ring with a note that said, "May this serve you better as a reminder than it ever did as a promise." And then, I booked a solo trip to Tulum. Not to run away, but to start over. Because love didn't break me. He did. No. I was finally ready to rebuild. I woke up in Tulum to the sound of the ocean. For the first time in weeks, I didn't check my phone the second I opened my eyes. I didn't care what Elijah was doing. I didn't wonder if Maya had the baby yet. I didn't replay his proposal or his lies or his pathetic apology. I just breathed. The waves crashed softly outside my balcony. My coffee steamed in the mug. The sun was warm. And for a moment I forgot the chaos. Until the text came in. It was from a mutual friend, Shay. She didn't know I was out of the country. Her message said, "Girl, did you see Elijah's post? He made an announcement, and it's bad." I didn't want to look. I told myself not to. That I was done. But curiosity, she's a loud little devil. So I opened Instagram, and there was a long, dramatic post from Elijah, complete with a blurry black and white picture of him in a hoodie, sitting on a bench like he was grieving the death of his own dignity. Caption: I made a mistake. I lost the love of my life trying to be everything to everyone. For those who've heard rumors, yes, I'm going to be a father. Oh, it wasn't planned. But I take full responsibility. This chapter is about growth, redemption, and facing consequences. Please respect our privacy as we navigate this difficult time. I laughed. Out loud. Because only a man could cheat, lie, deceive, and then beg for privacy after being exposed. He really thought he was the victim in this story. He turned my pain into his redemption arc. But the comments? They weren't buying it. Not anymore. Because while I hadn't mentioned him by name, the internet had connected the dots. The timeline. The ring. The lies. Women had started warning others about him. Someone even posted screenshots of his old flirty DMs while he was with me. His little growth arc had collapsed under the weight of his own ego. One comment said, "A grown man doesn't accidentally get someone pregnant while planning a proposal. Miss us with the self-pity." Another, "You're not remorseful. You're embarrassed. There's a difference." He turned off the comments. Of course he did. Because men like him want attention, not accountability. But I didn't care anymore. I was sipping mango juice under a palm tree while he sat in his self-made mess. This was karma. Dressed in silence. Served with sunlight. But Maya? She reached out again. And this time, she had more to say. Her message was long. Almost apologetic. "Tony, I had no idea he was still with you. He told me he was single. That you guys had broken up months ago. When I found out about the proposal, I lost it. I almost went into labor from the stress. I'm not reaching out to be messy. I just wanted you to know I believe you. And I'm sorry you got pulled into this." She didn't ask for friendship. Or understanding. He just told the truth. And you know what? I respected that. Because we were both victims. She got lies. I got lies. No. We were both left holding the pieces of something we never asked to build. I didn't reply right away. I sat with it. Thought about how easy it would be to hate her. To make her the villain. But Elijah was the architect of all this. He was the one with the promises. The ring. The double life. I wasn't going to waste my energy fighting a woman who had been lied to just like I had. So I replied. "Thank you. For the truth. And for your honesty. I'm sorry too. I wish us both healing. That was it. Short, direct, final. And with that, I deleted the entire thread. Because I didn't need it anymore. The story was out. The ring was gone. The future I thought I was building, dead and buried. And in its place was me. I got home from Tulum with a new energy. A lightness. I started doing things I'd been putting off for years. Starting my candle line, launching my blog, finally taking that course I'd saved in my bookmarks for over a year. My face started to glow again. My laughter came easier. My mirror started to reflect someone I recognized. And people noticed. Friends said, "You look happier." Family said, "You seem lighter." And one day while walking through the grocery store, I caught a glimpse of myself in the freezer aisle door. Messy bun, no makeup, hoodie, and smiled. Because I looked free. And Elijah? He faded into the background like an expired trend. Word got around that his job put him on extended leave. Apparently his boss didn't appreciate the public scandal. Clients started pulling away. His image ruined. And the baby was born. Little girl. Maya posted a picture, just her and the baby. No Elijah. That told me everything. No. I didn't smile at that. Because that little girl deserved better than the mess her parents created. But what I did feel was peace. Because I knew that Elijah would wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and know he lost the only woman who would have loved him through anything. He fumbled a forever for a fleeting mistake. And that would haunt him longer than anything I could ever say. The thing about healing is, it doesn't happen all at once. It comes in waves. One day you're laughing with friends, feeling good, thinking you're past it, and then out of nowhere, a song, a scent, a street you both used to drive down hits you like a ghost with unfinished business. It happened to me one afternoon at a coffee shop. I was writing. Just journaling. Nothing special. When Best Part by Daniel Caesar came on. That was our song. Or at least I thought it was. The first time Elijah cooked for me, he played that song. Said it reminded him of the way I made him feel. Soft, warm, necessary. Back then that song made my stomach flutter. No. It made me want to scream. Not because I still loved him. But because I realized how easily he attached beautiful things to ugly lies. He had a way of turning everything into poetry while planting grenades behind his back. I closed my journal and walked out without my coffee. Because I refused to cry in public for a man who never even had the decency to come clean. That night I sat on my couch in silence. I didn't scroll. Didn't tweet. Just stared at the ceiling and let the sadness happen. And then I wrote. Not in my journal. But in a Google Doc titled, "The One Who Lied with a Ring." It poured out of me. Every word. Every wound. Every twist. It wasn't just a story anymore. It was a warning. I turned it into a blog post. Posted it anonymously. It exploded. Comments flooded in. He proposed to me while another woman was giving birth too. I thought I was alone in this pain. Thank you. Men like this are poison in pretty suits. That blog post hit over 1 million views in a week. And that's when it clicked. Maybe I didn't go through all this just to cry into my pillow. Maybe I went through it so I could teach. I launched a series, Loving After Lies. Started talking about betrayal, blind spots, emotional manipulation. Women listened. Cried in the comments. One woman even said, "I was going to go through with my wedding until I read your story." I confronted him. He was cheating. You saved my life. That made every tear I shed feel worth it. As I had turned my pain into a platform. And Elijah? He couldn't do anything about it. I never used his name. Never exposed his photo. Never tagged him. Just told my story. And the truth? It was loud enough. One day I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered thinking it might be a client. It was him. I froze. He said my name soft like it still belonged to him. I didn't respond. He said, "I saw your blog." I still didn't speak. He said, "You really painted me as the villain." That's when I laughed. Out loud. "You painted yourself," I said. I just turned on the lights. He started going off. Something about how people were treating him differently, how he was trying to be a good father, how I was hurting his reputation. And I said 5 words. Words that shut him up instantly. You hurt your own reputation. Then I hung up. Blocked him for the final time. And when I did, I swear to God I felt lighter. Like I had cut the last invisible thread tying me to that dark, deceitful chapter. Weeks passed. Then months. I started dating again. Slowly. Cautiously. I met a man at a book signing. A quiet, calm presence. Nothing flashy. No grand gestures. Just a steady rhythm of honesty. He knew my story. I didn't hide it. He listened. He didn't try to fix it. Didn't try to explain it away. He just said, that should have never happened to you. But I'm glad it didn't break you. And it didn't. Because it built me. Brick by painful brick. Now every time I tell my story I feel a little stronger. Every time another woman messages me to say, your pain helped me walk away from mine, I remember that what nearly ended me became the beginning of someone else's freedom. Elijah's name might fade, but his betrayal? It's tattooed into my strength. Because betrayal doesn't end you. It rebirths you. Into someone smarter. Someone softer, but not naive. Someone stronger, but not hard. Someone wiser, but still willing to love again. Maya? She's raising her daughter without him. He posts pictures, just the two of them. Sunlight. Smiles. Peace. I hope that child grows up knowing her mother walked away from chaos to give her calm. I hope she learns that sometimes the best thing a woman can do is start over. Me. I'm still starting. Every day. And the difference is, now I'm doing it for me. I used to think healing was a destination. That one day I'd wake up, feel nothing for Elijah and finally be over it. But now I know, it doesn't work like that. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. You pass the same memories, the same places, the same triggers again and again. But each time they cut less deep. And eventually, they don't cut at all. They just exist. Like old scars. You remember how they got there, but they no longer sting. That's where I was now. The scar was still there. But the pain? Gone. It was a random Thursday afternoon when I ran into Elijah again. It had been nearly a year. I was walking out of a coffee shop wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. Nothing special. No makeup. Hair in a messy puff. And still, when he saw me, his jaw dropped. He looked worse than I remembered. Not physically, though he had aged. More like, something behind his eyes had dimmed. That charm, that confidence he used to carry like a weapon. It was gone. He walked up to me like I owed him something. A smile. Second chance. A conversation. I gave him nothing. Just a nod. But of course he tried to speak. Tony, you look good. I blinked at him. Thanks. Awkward silence. He shoved his hands in his pockets. I've seen what you've been doing online, he said. Your blog, your podcast. You've really built something. I raised an eyebrow. Yes, I have. He cleared his throat. I didn't realize how much it would affect me. I lost some clients. Some friends. People look at me differently now. I tilted my head. You mean they see you clearly? He flinched like I slapped him. I just wish things were different, he mumbled. I never meant to hurt you. But he did. And the problem with men like Elijah is they think intentions matter more than actions. They think regret is redemption. But regret means nothing when the damage is permanent. I don't care what you meant, I said calmly. I care what you did. He looked down. I think about you. A lot. You were the best thing in my life. And I ruined it. And that's when I knew. This was my closure. Not his apology. Not his pity. Not his longing. But the fact that I could hear him say all that, and feel nothing. No rage. No sadness. Just peace. So I smiled. Just enough to show him I meant it. You didn't ruin me, Elijah. You just removed yourself from my future. And then I walked away. Not dramatically. Just free. I didn't turn around. Didn't need to. Because I knew that moment would replay in his mind for the rest of his life. That was the revenge. Not yelling. Not exposing. Not posting receipts. Just thriving in front of the man who thought he broke you. I got in my car. Closed the door. Took a deep breath. And then I laughed. Not because it was funny. but because I had finally outgrown the version of myself who used to cry over him. And growth? It's a kind of revenge that doesn't need a witness. It just is. That night I wrote about it. Not for the blog. Just for me. I titled it, The Day I Didn't Flinch. Because that's what healing is too. It's seeing the man who shattered you, and not even blinking. Later that week I got a message from Maya. She said she'd started therapy. That she was focusing on herself and her daughter. That Elijah barely showed up anymore. She wasn't surprised. She said she should have listened to her gut. But I told her something I wish someone had told me. Your gut spoke. You just didn't trust its volume. We silence ourselves to keep peace. And end up living in war. Never again. I didn't stay in contact with Maya. We weren't friends. Just women with shared pain and different paths. But I hoped she found peace. As I had. My blog turned into a brand. My brand turned into a book. And my book turned into a movement. Women from all over started sharing their stories. Stories of betrayal. Of double lives. Of men who proposed with one hand and destroyed lives with the other. But these weren't sob stories. They were survivor stories. We weren't just healing. We were rising. Me. I was leading the charge. Because once you stop begging for closure, you start building doors that don't need keys. And in that space, you don't just recover. You evolve. Elijah will never know the woman I am now. And that is the deepest loss of all. I always thought revenge looked like fire. Explosive. Loud. Dramatic. Something that scorched everything and left only ashes behind. But now I know. Real revenge looks like joy. It looks like peace in the morning when you wake up and realize you didn't dream about them last night. It looks like eating your favorite meal alone without feeling lonely. It looks like buying flowers for yourself because you don't need a man to make you feel special. It looks like moving on so gracefully they question if they ever really had you. That's where I live now. In the version of me I prayed to meet the day I found out the truth. It's been almost a year since that engagement turned into an exposure. And I'll never forget the night it all came full circle. I was invited to speak at a women's empowerment event. Small audience. Just a panel of women sharing their stories, how they overcame what they survived and who they became in the aftermath. I told mine. Start to finish. From the proposal, to the DMs, to the ultrasound photo, to the moment I handed that ring back like it was a cursed object. I spoke calmly. With power. Not bitterness. And when I finished, the room went silent for a second. Then the clapping started. And kept going. Because what I said wasn't just my story, it was theirs. Afterward, a woman approached me in tears. She whispered, I was going to marry a man who cheated. I thought I had to because I already said yes. You made me realize I don't owe anyone a wedding. Especially not someone who gave me lies in place of loyalty. I hugged her. Told her what I now live by. A ring is not a reward. It's not proof of your worth. It's a symbol. And when given by the wrong hands it means nothing. That night I cried when I got home. Not from sadness. From pride. I had taken a betrayal meant to destroy me, and turned it into purpose. And Elijah? Well, a little bird told me his latest business venture flopped. That most of his clients walked away. That the redemption arc he tried to post his way through crashed and burned. Maya is raising the baby on her own. And from what I hear she's doing beautifully. Surrounded by a strong support system. Glowing in her motherhood. And Elijah? He's now just a man people whisper about in rooms I don't even walk into anymore. Because I've elevated far beyond him. He became the lesson. I became the teacher. I get messages now from women I've never met. Strangers who say my story stopped them from marrying the wrong man. Helped them walk away. Made them feel seen. And that is the greatest revenge of all. Because when you rise publicly from private pain, you become a lighthouse for every woman still lost at sea. So to anyone watching this who's ever been betrayed, lied to, cheated on, gaslit, discarded, this is your sign. You are not weak. You are not foolish. You are not hard to love. You are healing. And one day, like me, you look back and thank the storm for showing you your strength. And you won't even remember the man's last name. Because peace is louder. Enjoy. That's the final plot twist. Now, if this story hit you in the heart, if you've ever been played by someone you trusted, or if you're in the middle of trying to climb out of that betrayal, don't scroll away in silence. Hit that like button to show the world you survived. Comment below if you've ever had to rebuild yourself from nothing. Share this video with someone who needs to know that heartbreak is not the end of their story. And subscribe for new episodes every single day. Real stories of women who refuse to stay broken. Because around here, we don't just tell stories of betrayal. We tell stories of revenge, resilience, and rising. See you in tomorrow's episode.